Hey, Randy Joe here, and welcome back to the channel where we have been listening to Pink Floyd's entire discography from the beginning onwards. And of course, with our last video, we covered Saucer Full of Secrets, an album that I felt was actually an improvement on Piper at the Gates of Dawn, and I really like the direction they're going in there. I think in part because of Waters and Gilmour's contributions, as well as Richard Wright, who, you know, shout out to him, great musician. Felt like he was the unsung hero of that album. But still, moving on, you know, Saucerful of Secrets, great. We're going into their third LP, the next one, which is a little bit more of an odd record from what I gather, that of course being their 1969 record, More. Now the reason I say it is a bit more of a strange record for them is because this is an album that is actually a soundtrack for a film of the same name that came out that year, and because of that, this record is, from what I gather, a lot more instrumental, a lot less of a concrete idea. It does feel like Pink Floyd at this point in time, with Syd Barrett leaving the band, seems to be floundering a little bit, trying to find their footing, which obviously, as we know, they certainly do find their footing eventually in the mid-70s, but as of right now, in the late 60s, early 70s, they are having a bit of a tough time. So let's get into more. Let's hear it for the first time ever, kicking it off with Circus Minor. If it's mostly instrumental, I'm at least hoping for some nice laid-back exploration kind of mixes here. You know, something that's a bit more... Well, it's kind of a peaceful opening. A bit more meandering, perhaps. Kind of a sweet opening here. Like the...
In a churchyard by a river, blazing in the haze of midday, laughing in the grasses and the graves.
Very nature-esque, this picture.
Yellow miles of moonlight later.
Quite a meditative opening. Got a nice organ coming in. That's, of course, I knew it. No surprise there. Mr. Richard Wright, who I have shown some appreciation for. That was nice. Quite just a gentle, kind of contemplative opening. Kind of sets the tone. I mean, this is, after all, based on a film. That can make for an opening credits, perhaps. Let's go into the next track here. That being the Nile Song. There it is. Okay. Right into a rough opening. Certainly a bit more of a kind of rougher, less polished kind of production here. A bit more lo-fi. Okay, oh. The mix is very rough. Everything feels a little bit too kind of, you know, squashed together here in the mix. Definitely could be better mixed here for a better track overall. But quite a noisy track. Maybe one of their noisiest so far. I do like this heaviness. There's a nice heavy sort of kind of pummeling, almost kind of proto metal element to this track. That being said, I do wish it was better mixed. Like I said, it's maybe a bit too crushed out. But man, these guitars are so electric. I just feel like they're a little too washed out. Oh. Gilmour's vocals on this track, though, are specifically like haunting. You know, they do feel like he's pushing the chords of his vocals. Nice tortured sound to him. I did like that one vocally. I thought it was great. Gilmour, like I said, pushing those vocals to the limits. Kind of a proto metal track, very noisy, very abrasive. Just wish the mix was better. But still, I mean, hey, it's a nice contrast to that opening kind of soft, sort of contemplative track of Circus Minor. Oh, actually, it's not even Circus Minor. I've been pronouncing it wrong. It's Cirrus Minor. I'm assuming that has to do with space. Here's Crying Song. I am usually a fan of Pink Floyd's softer, more stripped back tracks, which this might be offering. Okay. Looks like we're floating away here. Ugh. Love the sparseness of this one. It's just so so delicate. Also, vocally, Gilmour reminded me of Brian Eno in the 70s. Obviously before him here. That kind of soft ambience. This might be my favorite so far. With just the... Oh. We got our guitars coming in here. Kind of twangy and psychedelic. That's easily their best track so far on the album. For me. Really stood out. Let's go into Up, the Khyber, the Khyber. It's a 2-minute instrumental they would gather, opening with Nick Mason's frantic drumming. All right, Mason, take it away. Stuff like this continual kind of ticking reminds me of what they would later do on Dark Side of the Moon. Little horror-esque. Bit of a chaotic, growing rumble. Richard, what are you doing there? Could be improvisational, but does feel somewhat structured here. All right. That was interesting. More of a transitional kind of track more than anything, but I do like Nick Mason's "Battering Away." Richard Wright's sort of meandering organs. Not my favorite, but hey, it kind of works. I would imagine in the context of the film, probably works a whole lot better. Here's "Green is the Color." Ooh, a bit more of a folk open, much softer. Certainly a bit more of a wide array of kind of styles on this record so far. Okay. Is this Gilmore? This is kind of sweet. This is beautiful. Has Pink Floyd done a whole lot of acoustic kind of folk ballads such as this? I'm unsure, but this is gorgeous. It's kind of continuing that whimsical feel of their earlier LPs, but in a much more folk sense. Oh yeah, 12 million streams. I'm not surprised. Oh. Maybe a hot take to say in a moment here. Love how just beautiful, sweet, wholesome this track feels. Here's my hot take. I expected quite little from this album so far. Going into it, at least, I thought, this has to be one of their weakest LPs. No one seems to be talking about it. The title even feels kind of like a throwaway. Green is the color. First 3 albums, this is their best track. I'm saying it now. I'm taking it over the title track of Saucerful. I'm taking over Interstellar Overdrive. I'm taking over really any track from the first 2 LPs. This is right up my alley. It's sweet. It's very wholesome. And it's also wonderfully kind of performed and put together and structured. Has like a nice indie kind of folk vibe. Even feels somewhat ahead of its time, perhaps. I feel like this feels like something you see in the indie scene in the 2000s, perhaps. But still, great track, and their best of the 3 LPs so far. Crazy, maybe? I don't know. But it's beautiful. It's a beautiful track. Let's keep the good time going. Let's go and do, Cymbeline? Is that how you pronounce this one? Cymbeline? I like the bongos coming to the mix. Oh. Quieter mix on this one. Cymbeline. Even this track, I like. It's more kind of withdrawn elements. Doctor Strange. Now, commenter in my last video for Saucerful of Secrets, somebody commented and mentioned the fact that Doctor Strange, the comic book Marvel character, makes an appearance throughout the album cover, which I checked out. You could see it clear as day. And then with this, name drop here, Not sure if it is in all related to that Marvel character, or if Doctor Strange is just a character of their own creation here within the context of the track. But still, clearly, Pink Floyd is they're Marvel fans, they're comic book fans, and they seem to have a strong liking to Doctor Strange. Now, they could be using it with no relation to Marvel there, but still, interesting. It's in their psyche. This one's nice. I do think it seems to be dragging a little bit in the second half. Bit more of a, could be cut down, is essentially what I'm saying. This track definitely could do with a bit of trimming, but I liked it. I do like these last, these two tracks back to back really make me yearn and wish for a full kind of Pink Floyd acoustic stripped back record. Really teases what maybe could have been. Here's Party Sequence, where Nick Mason's just banging away. I wonder if anyone's sampled this yet. I kind of like this one. I don't know, maybe it's its simplistic nature, but has kind of an Eastern influence coming in strong. Let's keep it going. I mean, Party Sequence was what it was. Some bongo playing. Rapid bongo playing with some of these Eastern sort of flutes coming in, it sounded like. Here's main theme. I would imagine this is the main theme for the film. Again, instrumental. Okay. Not too much to say. I mean, it's got this, your typical sort of dreamlike Pink Floydian element, Very psychedelic. I'm not sure what this is. That some sort of synth? I'm imagining that's the organ here, Richard Wright. Very kind of 60s influenced, a little jazzy as well, especially in the drum section there. It definitely feels like a song for a soundtrack, Loud cymbals crashing over us like waves. Definitely feels like the fullest instrumental piece we've heard so far. Quite a nice, varied, gorgeous swelling to it. Not much to say about that, though. I liked it. Let's go into Ibiza Bar. Right back to the heaviness that we saw earlier on the LP. But I would say maybe better mix than Niall's song already. With washed out guitars are nice. Very psychedelic. Quite a heavy rockish mix. Like, it's very rough and a much noisier rock song than I feel like I would have come to expect from at this point. And just a long fade out. Again, a lot of things that I feel like, a lot of the sounds they've been doing, I feel like they obviously further develop in the mid-70s, but you can hear a lot of the DNA is kind of developing between the last LP and this one. Let's go into more blues. Again, Ibiza Bar, not too much to say about it. Thought it was just okay. I do prefer their sweeter, more slower tracks, and those folk tracks especially were hard hitting. This one's gonna be bluesy. Maybe let's call it more blues. Oh, I thought Mason was gonna come back in. I'm a sucker for blues. Let's. Those blues drums. Oh, Mason, please. Very bluesy guitar too. Quite desperate and lonely. Oh. He's pulling away. Oh, that bass line. Oh, that's it. Yeah, I was waiting for it to keep going. I feel like that one just teased what they could have been capable of there with blues. Love the drum work from Mason. I just wish he went a little bit further with it. Of course, again, it is a bit more of a teaser track. But man, I would love a nice full-blown blues track from Pink Floyd. I feel like, they're definitely capable of it. I will say this album has been quite, wide in its scope of genres. We've seen metal, we've seen blues, we've seen folk, we've seen psychedelic rock. Is that the more they're talking about? Let's go into Quicksilver, which is 7 minutes. I would imagine this is going to be another sort of exploration into their sort of jammy elements, similar to Interstellar Overdrive or even Saucerful, which was, I think, more structured. But still. Quite an ominous opening here. Oh. Again, a little bit of those kind of horror elements that they've played with in the last couple records. Pacing on this one's been pretty solid. We're 4 minutes in. I feel like I haven't had too much to talk about, too much to chew on here. It is certainly quite a minimal track. Where's this going? Okay. Really, oh. Not much to say about this one. I'm almost scratching my head wondering where it went, because it felt like it went nowhere, essentially. Quite a meandering, slow, gentle track. I mean, at the end of the day, I guess it did kind of grow in that middle section, but even still, I would say Quicksilver is certainly a clear indicator that this is a soundtrack album, because very clearly this does feel like something that is meant to accompany a scene rather than to be listened, like you would a regular piece of music. Obviously, without that complementing element of the visual, it does kind of leave you wanting more. So Quicksilver, I think I went into that hoping for something bigger than it was. But let's go into a Spanish piece, which, okay, it is getting Spanish. I do like Spanish music lately. I've been listening to a lot of Latin American music. I don't. This sounds like I could be wrong, but this sounds like just a white guy doing an accent. Is this Gilmore? Is this Gilmore? I think this is Gilmore doing a embarrassing accent. Yeah, not a fan of that one. I kind of was hoping, I guess, for more, but again, for a minute, thank God it's over. Spanish music was not Spanish piece. Sorry, was not a great track. Here's dramatic theme to close it out. I'm expecting this one to be quite enveloping and then kind of massive in tone, perhaps. Does have that building tension. Kind of like I love the kind of consistent tension of this one. Obviously nothing too grand or crazy here, but again, perfectly put and accompanying a scene for sure. Some psychedelic, reverby guitars. To close it all out. And that does it for More by Pink Floyd, which I gotta say, I mean, it certainly was more music from them. I don't know if it was their best foot forward. However, it was, I would say, from the first 3 records we've heard so far, their widest array of genres, their greatest spread in terms of, kind of putting their toe into every, direction. Is it a great record? Definitely not. There's quite a bit of filler here, especially as you get to the second half, which is kind of dominated by more instrumental pieces. But even still, some of my favorite instrumental pieces on this thing, I feel like, again, only kind of tease a greater kind of idea. More Blues, for example, really kind of teases what they could do with a bluesier track. And I am a sucker for blues. I love a nice blues, rock song. And this one here kind of only sets up what could be a much grander, more interesting foray into blues. I wish Pink Floyd would dive further into that. But still, you got your blues track, you've got your folk tracks back to back with Green is the Color and Cymbeline. You've got a Spanish piece, which is a little bit more kind of Latin American in tone. However, the vocals from Gilmour doing a pretty horrendous accent doesn't really stick the landing with that one. You got some tracks here that even kind of tease a little bit of a metal-esque or noisier kind of rock tone. Nile Song, I think, is the key standout of those two. The other, of course, being, I believe it was Ibiza Bar. Those two do feel, although proto-metal in a way, also do feel a little bit kind of muddled in the mix. Could have definitely been sharper tracks overall. But I'm not going to hold it against them because this does feel like I said, Pink Floyd just trying to find their footing. Because after Syd Barrett left, there was clearly a hole within the band. None of them seem to really be on the same page. They all want to go into different directions, it would seem. And without a clear, I guess, leader of the group, which of course later on they would discover their leader, and I believe David Gilmour, as well as Roger Waters, kind of sharing duties a little bit. It's pretty clear, though, that at this stage, they don't really know who is in charge or what sound they want to dive into. Personally, wish they went further with the sounds that they did on these two tracks here, Green is the Color and Cymbeline. Love those folk elements. And maybe they have some LPs down the road that I'm unfamiliar with that do dive into folk. I don't know. But Green is the Color really, to me, was the best track, again, of their first 3 albums. Maybe a hot take, but for me, I know for sure that is the one that I'm going to probably come back to the most of these first 3 records. That all being said, this is, I would say, a record that is a must-listen for those that are just simply interested in Pink Floyd and their musical journey, the direction they went in. However, would I recommend this to anyone who is not a fan of Pink Floyd? I mean, no. Obviously, I feel like this is really just a kind of meandering, messy LP overall that really, at the end of the day, is best fitted for the soundtrack, it would seem, of the film that it's made for. So, all in all, more just okay. But that does it for today's video. If you like the video, please hit like and subscribe to follow along and listening to more Pink Floyd albums alongside myself. Of course, their next LP is going to be, I believe it's called Umagama. But with that all being said, as always, my name is Randy Joe. I appreciate you watching, and I'm signing off.